Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
All right, welcome back to the show, and do we ever have a great guest for you today? We've got Mr. John Anders with us, and he's got some very interesting things to share with us, some really great stuff. Welcome to the show, John.
Well, thank you, DC. Glad to be here.
Fantastic. Well, let's just get right to it. Tell us exactly about your business, what it is that you do to help people, and who it is that you work with.
Well, my business is coaching and providing education and content on how to trade options and ETFs, obviously in the market. I work one-on-one with clients. I have coaching, group coaching, and I also have some online courses. And my focus is on probability-based trading, and it's a lot different than people are used to. Most people are directional traders. What I do is I'm a premium seller, and so the analogy that I like to use is if we flipped a coin and we flipped the coin 50 times, and every time it came up heads, I gave you $2, and every time came up tails, you gave me $1. Obviously, you want to flip it as many possible times as you can. So I use a probability-based methodology that it doesn't matter what the market's doing. I'm typically winning in that 75% win rate because that's statistically what happens. So and I like to teach people how to do that, to either generate an income, perhaps augment their wealth, or maybe replace the current income stream. So there's a lot of opportunity.
Very interesting. How did you get started doing this, John?
Well, I always had an interest in the financial markets. I was in the lumber and building material business in Cincinnati for about 35 years, and what really prompted me to do this is I got rid of the business in 2003, something like that. But prior to that, I, like most people, I had a 401k at my company, and I had accumulated about $250,000 in a 401k, converted to a Roth. So I paid all the taxes, and that was kind of the beginning of my nest egg. I had other stuff going on, but at the time I was busy with business, and I used, like so many people do, I used a financial advisor, if you will, self-proclaimed expert at Bear Stearns, and they took my $250,000 Roth IRA and changed it into about $13,000. So 2 years later, I got back $13,000, and I swore at that time I would never let that happen to me again. Financially devastating, but in any event, that's what really prompted me to get interested and motivated in becoming a self-directed investor, and hopefully teach others to become self-directed investors. That's what I'm passionate about.
Well, what is it that drives you or gives you that passion to do what you do?
Well, obviously the initial impetus was becoming financially devastated by, you work 20 or 30 years and you build up a little bit of a nest egg, and that's one part of the nest egg, and somebody wipes it out in a year or two. And the more that I got into it, and I found that financial advisors, it's just a huge, huge space. And my experience is that you pay a lot of fees for mediocre returns. So what I try to tell clients just beginning in this, why don't you just invest in, there's a lot of ways to invest in just the S&P or the spiders, and learn to sell premium against that, lower your cost basis. So that's the motivation came from being really mistreated, I would say, by the financial advising industry. And I said, I'm going to learn how to do this. And I've had my bumps and bruises and all that, and it took a while. And but I said, I'm going to focus the rest of my time here on encouraging and educating others on becoming a self-directed investor.
Fantastic. What's been a key element of your success, John?
I would say, and I say at my first course, that the thing that gets traders in trouble, and traders and investors in trouble, is size. And I found that out the hard way. In October of 2008, I was sailing right along, and if you remember, we had a pretty severe correction that year, and you think you know something, and you find out you really don't, and took some pretty serious hits at that time, and it really got me educated to really spreading the risk. So the methodology that I trade every day myself, and I encourage others to do is, well, like I said, it's a probability-based trading. So I do a lot of trades, very small size. I put the odds in my favor, and my focus is just to flip the coin as many times as I can. I don't really care what stock I'm trading. I'm not directionally really in nature, but I'm just selling premium and just flipping that coin as often as I can, and I do very well. So,
how did you transition or enter into the coaching side of the business? Because obviously you didn't enter into this, to start coaching and assisting others to do this. How did that happen?
Well, I think it's sort of a natural migration. I spend a lot of time, the methodology that I teach people that have full-time job. A couple of my clients right now are in the healthcare industry, and they're like 12 on, 12 off. So they can trade options the way that I do without being in front of the screen all day. So that's one element that helps. And I think to be able to communicate that nobody really knows what's going to happen in the market. All of us have experienced, we've owned a stock or any kind of investment, and great news came out, and the market either trashed it, or bad news came out and went up. And I contend that no one knows what's going to happen. You think you do. You get all these fancy indicators and black boxes and all that stuff, and you think you know what's going to happen. But the reality is you really don't. And the methodology, by using the probabilities that are right in front of you on any option chain and pretty much any platform that you choose to trade, you don't have to have a directional bias to be successful. So I hope that answered your question.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. What is give me the profile of a typical coaching client of yours. What do they look like?
Well, I think there are a couple different profiles. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, but I'm full-time in Southwest Florida now. So you have clients that have accumulated significant portfolios, and perhaps they want to learn how to not just sit there, the old buy and hold strategy and like a deer in the headlights. They want to learn how to sell premium to increase the return on that portfolio, or maybe generate a cash stream off of that. So I have clients that have significant portfolios, and then I have people that perhaps they've reached retirement. They have their retirement nest egg. They don't want to go to a financial advisor because they realize that you kind of get what you pay for there, and they're trying to replace or augment their income. And then I've got it's really refreshing when you get a real young client that is just new and has a small account, and he can learn how to do this with a $5,000, $10,000 account. You can learn the mechanics because it's all very scalable. I moderate in the trade room every day, and I trade one contract in there so that it's fully scalable for everybody. And that's the beauty of the way I trade. You don't have to come in with a 6 or 7 figure account. You can start with a very small account and learn how to do it. Can kind of fill all 3 niches. It just depends on the client's needs and desires.
Fantastic. John, let me ask you this. What leadership qualities and leaders do you most admire, and why?
Well, you mean in the political arena? Do you mean in what arena do you mean?
No, I'm not talking political. I'm just talking about leadership in general. What qualities and leaders do you admire most, and why? Oh, the quality
specifically. Okay. Well, my number one thing is honesty and integrity, and that's the number one thing to me. I've grown up, had a business, and for 37 years, and that is by far being honest and forthright, and be willing to admit your mistakes. And I think that's the quality that anybody can have and often we don't see so much of that anymore. I'm a pretty avid golfer, and I just detest when I see somebody cheating on the golf course. I don't think you could cheat in the golf course and not cheat in life. So maybe I hope that's succinct enough, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, well, I agree with you on that. Let me ask you this, John. What are some of the business projects that you're currently working on that you're excited about in the future?
Well, the number one thing I'm working on is I'm developing a line of a series of courses and a membership site so that different people have different time frames. They don't want to do one-on-one coaching, so I'm starting a series of courses so they could start out with an introductory course that just explains the basics of probability-based trading, and then there'll be subsequent courses that will be more explaining specific strategies. I'm certainly not an internet guru, an internet marketing guru, and that's I'm working to build up my newsletter list. I'm going to provide a weekly newsletter, and I've got a membership site that I'm working on. I'm going to have a couple of different levels of membership depending on the needs of the client.
Fantastic! A lot of great things you've got coming up here this year. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this: what are one or two things you'd like to say to us for a prospective client who stumbles across this interview?
Well, the first thing that I would say is become a self-directed investor. If I could spend time with them, I could show them that they can be a very successful self-directed investor. And another thing that's very, very key, that may seem confusing and intimidating and initially, but the thing that I would say is trading or investing is a learned skill. Now, I know I can't, and I assume you can't hit a major league fastball. I know that's beyond my athletic ability, especially at my age. But anybody can learn to trade. Anybody can do what I do. It might seem intimidating at first, but it's really very, very basic. You don't have to. You could throw away all your candlesticks and indicators and black boxes, all the stuff that I've spent years and years trying to learn. That it's just a total waste of time. And that's what I would like to get across. Become a self-directed investor, and don't be intimidated because this is very much a learned skill. There's no
when you say become a self-directed investor, yeah, when you say become a self-directed investor, what does that mean for the person that's not up with the lingo? What do you mean by that?
Okay, I use that term maybe too often, but all I mean simply is manage your own account. Don't turn it over. I'm a strong proponent of not turning it over like I made the mistake of doing in 2000 to a professional advisor, because you can outperform 99.9% of the so-called experts out there. Because you have to remember that in this business, no one knows nothing. I mean, that's bad grammar. No one knows anything. And I don't mean from a knowledge standpoint. I mean, no one knows how a particular stock or ETF is going to act. You think you think your indicators tell you all this stuff, but the reality is that isn't the case. So by becoming a self-directed investor, take full accountability for your own finances, and don't let someone try to convince you that you're not smart enough to do this, or you don't have enough time to do this, because nothing could be further from the truth.
Yeah, I think there's an aura around this topic matter, and that people tend to think it's too complicated, it's too technical for them to do on their own. Would you agree with that or disagree?
Oh, I wholeheartely agree. In fact, I think that there's a method to the madness. I think that the reason is I think they use all these confusing terms and words and all this stuff to confuse you. But if I could show you an option chain, and you're smart enough to go up there and look and see where it says 84%, that's about as smart as you have to be. And that's my point being, all that stuff they throw around is to confuse you. It is not. It really is simple to trade the probability-based way by just putting the odds in your favor and flipping the coin. But there's no question And I think that, like I said, I think there's a method of the madness where they want to make it sound way too confusing. Oh, I don't know anything about that stuff. And that's, they take your money and charge you, 4, 5, 6% a year. Let me give you a little tidbit. If you look at the mutual funds, and I know most people that work, they put their money in mutual funds. And, if you took a $100,000 account so we can make the math easy, if you would figure it out, if you understand that the fees that you pay over the course of time, that you're paying about 40% of your return in fees, and even with all the laws and everything. So to give you an example, it would be like me going into business with you, and I put up $100,000, and at the end of the year we make a $10,000 profit. I give you $4,000, I keep $6,000, and we're all happy. Then the next year we lose $10,000, you still get $4,000, and I lost $10,000, and that's a financial advice industry, if you will. So, simple analogy, but that's factual, or pretty.
Sure it is. Well, what I get from you is that it's not that complicated. It really isn't. Absolutely. If you educate yourself, you can become a self-managed. Is that what you said? A self-managed investor?
I use the term self-directed, because you're directing your funds. You're directing your funds, and
Fantastic. Well, John, let me ask you to wrap this up. How can folks get in contact with you?
Well, there's really two ways. You can call me. I answer my own phone, and my phone number is 239-272-3424. That's 239-272-3424. I always have my cell phone in front of me, and I answer my own phone. And the other way would be go to either of my two websites. You can go to optionsmeister.com, which is OPTIONS plural MEISTER, optionsmeister.com. Sign up for the newsletter, or there's some contact forms in there, or you can go to johnandrus.com. Any of those?
Fantastic, John. Well, listen, I appreciate you being on the show today. We're out of time, but let me ask you, would you be willing to come back at a future day?
Absolutely. Love to do it.
Fantastic. Well, thanks again for being on the show, John. There you have it, folks, another edition of the show, and we will see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.